Welcome to the Be Seen, Be Loved TV show. I'm your host, Christie Love, and today we have Sacha Walton. Wow, this bio is going to really just elevate your energy today. Well, Sacha has graced the physical and virtual stage, both nationally and internationally, providing a fresh take on entrepreneurship through a holistic approach to business. This multi-dimensional woman of inspiration award winner is not only a speaker, but she's also a business strategist, the podcast host of According to Sacha, the author of Beyond the Music, an artist entrepreneur's guide, and she's an event planner. Wow. She inspires audiences with captivating topics that empowers and transforms. She loves being transparent, and she actually is pretty transparent with her audience when sharing her signature talk and passion topic, mental wellness and entrepreneurship, keys to managing well-being. And she also braces her story of various challenges, primarily with the 2020 pandemic, which has led this dynamic woman to encourage many entrepreneurs in any industry with a message of perseverance. This Verizon, a micro mentor, gives back to a global community by consulting entrepreneurs worldwide. And she is on the show to tell us all about how she do it. So thank you so much, Sacha, for being on the show.
Thank you, Christy, for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. A lot of things have gone wrong, but we made it happen, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yes, most definitely. But we're here.
And that's life and business and everything else we pretty much strive for. And so you have your own journey of things that you went through, some challenges that you went through, especially during a pandemic that really led you to where you are now and amazing things that you're doing in this world. Could you start by just sharing and talking a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. I've been in business for over 20 years and you always go through certain challenges, but nothing prepared me for the pandemic, the 2020
Mm.
pandemic. It was kind of I'll just start here. So in business, I was doing event production and growing my business, evolving and really scaling and just going forth.
All the right things.
I did all of that. Yeah, I did all of that while working a 9 to 5 at the time. And in 2018, I was laid off. So I like to tell people at the beginning of the challenges because, it leads up into the pandemic. But I was laid off from the company for working for 20 years, but I moved my business up to a full-time business. Was able to manage it for 2 years, going into government contracting and working with more corporations here in the States and globally, and scaling, 6 figures. And then the pandemic happened, 2020. It shut down the event industry. And I my operations was stopped for 2 years. And like we're just really coming outside, really, technically. So, the event industry was halted. I had my savings, I had all my income that was there, but it started to dwindle. So I went from thriving mode to pretty much survival mode, yeah, and just, needing to take care of my home. Like, what's next? What is going to be next for me? And really dealing with that mindset, defeating thoughts and so forth. And um, the only thing I could think of at the time was, I'm just go ahead and go back to work and go ahead and go back, get the 9 to 5 again, which I was not trying to do, but I did it, but I felt like a failure in the midst of it because, here I am going up the mountain and the next thing you know, I'm getting pushed down. And there was a lot of value in that as well. Going through, you see yourself in a way where it's like, okay, what is my capacity now? What can I handle? Showing up with the mask on, smiling, but caving on the inside. But it was just so many things going on during that time. Through much prayer and overcoming that, I gradually went towards relaunching the business. After having those self talks, those self encouragement moments, and just really, digging in deep and knowing that my life wasn't just to be there, just to be an employee, or just to be regular, or just to be mediocre. Sometimes we do have a lot of greatness in us that we have to flow in. And in December 2021, I finally got it all together. Um, overcame and just really said, okay, my purpose is greater than my fear. So let me just walk in that purpose. And I got out of that comfort zone of wanting to be behind the scenes and dealing with all those thoughts that came through because of the downfall of my business. Well, I wouldn't even call it a downfall. My business was put in a cocoon for 2 years because the pandemic did rebirth something new in me. And when I came out, I relaunched my business, did a small pivot, and I came out with being the business strategist and the speaker and the podcast host and writing the book and everything creative and just moving forth in it and just showing up and just showing people like, yeah, you could go through challenging moments and it's going to happen, especially in entrepreneurship, but you don't have to stay there.
No, you don't.
And yeah, you just move forward and you grow within it. You take the lessons from it, you take the value of those lessons, and you move forward. And it's been a beautiful journey since that
Awesome.
move. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, what I remember about the pandemic is that there were two types of people. There are a lot of people who just invigorated and just encompass all the negativity that's around them on the news, and they never were able to get out of that just dark spot and dark space that allowed negativity to just just take over their lives. They weren't
Mm-hmm.
able to thrive. I know, but people like you and I, during that pandemic, I knew that was my opportunity. I read in books that when things like that happen, it kind of goes back to the Great Depression. That's when millionaires and entrepreneurship really thrive. So I knew that, hey, I can't sit down. I can't just sit there watching news, that there's something burning deeper inside of me that I have to do. And this is the time to do it. This is the time to do it. And I like that you didn't stop. You didn't stop. You had to pay the bills. Realistically, you had to pay the bills to get the job. That burning desire was still in your heart. And so when the opportunity came open again, that you just went head first and started your business in a different way and pivoting, because there's this thing called internet that's global,
Yes.
that was still open, even though the in-person events closed. I know that was a huge change, especially for me. I'm a speaker for many years, and a pivot online, it's a whole new world. But in order to do that, you have to take step first and jump out of your comfort zone and just understand that you're going to get better and better and better. You did that. And now you help people or business owners now to gain that strength and motivation and be perseverance no matter what comes in their way, because things are going to happen, right? Things are going to happen.
Absolutely, it does. And in going through, I believe that one of the things I really believe that nothing happens by chance. When there's purpose involved, nothing happens by chance. And sometimes it does take you to go through that mess to have a message. Like people say, "Oh, I had a test to be the testimony, a mess to be a message." But I did find a lot of value in the place that I was in mentally. And coming back out, I did a soft launch in August, and I did my first speaking engagement. And speaking to the women there who were in business ownership and entrepreneurship, and being able to really touch the heart and core of the questions that they were really asking, the deep stuff. They were asking surface level questions, but it was more so to deal with the fear, the lack of confidence, and all those things. And I've dealt with those things myself in the past, but then also overcoming and just growing and doing major things. But with that pandemic piece of it, I'm just like, wow, I got pushed in a place that I didn't think I would ever be in. But being able to identify those areas, it helped me to say, there's a value with mindset. Adding that mindset piece to, your business coaching and your business strategies and how you go about, teaching others and leading them. And that's where the whole holistic approach to business that I, come from now. And being able to say, look, everything that you pour into your business. So you have to get yourself right first. All the fear, all the procrastination, everything that's there is a reflective on your business. And I just mold that in, and taking that and even going into the new book that I'm writing now, The Ugly Truth About Entrepreneurship. And it's the keys to managing mental wellness. And taking my story during that pandemic, the initial pandemic, or the wave of the pandemic, I should say, because we're kind of still in it. But being able to take that story and to embrace it and say, look, you know what, here are some key points that we should have in our lives to keep that work-life balance and get to that place where we're not always burning ourselves out. Or if there's challenges that are happening in our lives, like how can we just step back for a moment, embrace it, but also process through it in a more positive way. And I think that that will help us, navigate our course a lot better as entrepreneurs, because it's hard. It's hard out here, for entrepreneurs sometimes, and we feel like we're the only ones, but we're not.
We're not. No, no. And I think the mindset of what it takes to be an entrepreneur is just misconstrued. People think that, oh, if you follow this plan, you follow this plan from A to Z, you're going to be rich, you're going to be successful, your business is going to blow up. But I'm a testament to say that I'd say not 80% of it is mindset, the work I do on myself to be committed, to be dedicated, to be, persevere through these times, because every day is not easy and every day could be a challenge if I didn't continually work on myself. I think business owners need to understand that they have to have the element, the holistic approach that you're talking to in order to really survive. And I found that the people who are most successful naturally do these things. They naturally do this. They know the importance of the mindset. And so I'm glad that you're putting that into not only a book, but your coaching, your teaching, and allowing people to understand that this is what's needed. This is the element that you must put in your business for it to grow and sustain over time. Is you working on yourself.
Yes, that is so true. I love the analogy that I tell people, when you're thinking about what you're pouring into your business, it's an entity. When you go to set up your LLC, they always say, what is your business entity? When we think about entity, it's something that has life, it's a form of life. So when we breathe life into our business, we're breathing who we are into that business. And if we're full of a whole lot of stuff, that we still got to get right, it's still going to help, it's going to keep us limited personally, but it also limits your business. And so seeing that value in it, and I'm just like, you know what, that's where it's at. That's where that longevity and the sustainability comes in at. It's not just, how well you market. It's not just about how well you brand, or even how much money you're bringing in, because that could be taken away from you so fast. Like, you
Absolutely.
know, pandemic took away a lot of things from a lot of people. And because people went through that, and some of them didn't bounce back, at
Mm.
all. What can we do now to make sure that if something else happens, whether it's a personal situation or if it's global, like how can we sustain again? How can you actually have a business that's really footed and rooted, into a good, strong foundation that can withstand? We have the Great Depression. So many companies were out at that time. They're still around right now, or
Yes.
that was birthed during that
Ones
time.
that did not give up are still around now. It's true.
Exactly. Yeah.
I saw
So,
that this was another opportunity for that to
yeah.
happen. Right when the
Hmm.
pandemic started, I said, okay, this is my time to start.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. And I'm glad that burning desire within you birthed your company and help people to create that foundation. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's so helpful and needed in this world today. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great job with that.
It is. I love it. I love the journey I'm on. It also brought me out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So sometimes your comfort zone could be the biggest drawback for you, and being able to come out of it and be in the face of my brand and sharing my message, sharing the story, being able to speak on the platforms that I have been on. I'm about to go to Paris in a month, or
Oh,
in October, to speak in Paris, about the same thing about entrepreneurship and mental health. It's like a lot of people don't talk about that. We talk
mm,
about a lot of wins, but we don't talk about those challenging moments that we had to take before we got to the wins. And just being transparent about it and being open. I'm choosing to be transparent about my journey, and my story is still being written, but I'm on a different path now. But I'm making that choice to speak up about it because I saw how real it was in 2020, in 2021, because of the pandemic. And I'm just like, you know what, There's too many other people out here, and I'm quite sure have seen the same thing in a different way, but they're just, you won't hear from them, whether they're bouncing back or they're not. They're not going to talk about the ugliness of it. And that's why the book is called The Ugly Truth about entrepreneurship.
Right. So you talked about liking to be in the behind the scenes as an event planner, as your profession, but now you're actually on stages in front of everyone. How did you make that transition? And I know a lot of our viewers and listeners want to know, how did you transform? Because that's not the easiest thing to do. It took me a long time to be able to transform, to really putting myself out there, especially around the world in Paris. My goodness, that's amazing.
Yeah, I would say, there's a lot of times you always know the greatness within. And there are times where you have people around you that see that same greatness. And I've always had people around me say, "Oh, Sacha, no, you need to be doing this, Sacha. You need to be here. You need to be there." And then there's times where certain experiences will come up, they'll put you out there. Now, I've had that, and I'm just like, I'll jump out, pull back in, go back behind the scenes, and I was comfortable there. And but I also knew that with this transition of my business, I had to do it differently. And it was that urgent part of me was saying, you have to do it like this. You have to show up differently. And no matter how much I didn't like being in front of people, like I've been on TV before. I've had opportunity to be interviewed on national TV only because somebody couldn't make it and they asked me to do it. And I was just like, wait a minute, me? No, 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 no. But it was something in me saying, Sasha, don't ever dismiss an opportunity.
That's
And I
right.
sucked it up and I got on air. And I was actually, being interviewed alongside of actor Michael Copon, who played as the Scorpion King 2 main character. And so I've had those opportunities, but I will always go back to the shell, come out, pop in, pop out. But I would say because I knew it within myself, being self-aware is the biggest thing to help you transition from one state to another quickly. I was self-aware about it. I just wasn't trying to do it. It was two different things. I just didn't want to do it. But because now I'm just like, you know what? There is a purpose here that I really felt like I have to be a part of. And having that strong tug and not wanting to miss it, I was just like, okay, Sasha, you gotta suck it all up because you're about to be older. Your birthday's coming up. You're gonna be entering another decade soon, all this other things. So my personal life, I'm like, I want every year of my life to be different and better than the last year. So what can I do to be different this year? And prepare for the next decade of my life. And that was a big part of it. So it's just really sucking it up and just showing up, just getting rid of that fear.
There's a statement that reads something like this. It says, "To whom much is given, much is required."
Yes.
As we elevate to the next level, we're required to do more things, which require us to step out of our comfort zone. Yeah. But if we fight that and become rebellious against the push and need for us to get out there more, that's when we're going to stay stuck. But if we embrace that the energy flow that's pushing us and helping us to rise, because it will push you, it will be there, it will make itself present. You just have to be aware, right? Aware of that and enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride because it's so much fun. You have to put things in perspective and think, should I, be fearful for this, 10-minute, 15-minute interview, or can I really overcome it, give it my best? After 15-minute, 20-minute interview, all these doors, opportunities are going to start to open. Yeah. But if I just overcome my fear for this little bit of time, for this moment, and have enough courage to do this, boy, possibilities can open. You beyond your wildest dreams, this fast, and you've been fortunate to elevate quickly because you're doing just that. Which is amazing. So tell us more about the government contracting. How did you get into that space? Because that's one area that I'm really looking into and done a lot of researching about, and want to know how you go from working a 9 to 5 to actually working for the government.
Yeah, so I've always, there was a time where that was a goal of mine, but, going back to 2013. It was a goal of mine to get into government contracting. That was, to me, that was like the ultimate. Like, I want to work corporations. I want to go into government contracting, doing event services. And I slacked on that. Sometimes we can keep ourselves held back, So I slacked on it because it's to navigate and to understand that world, it is a lot of information, and I did allow it to overtake me and overwhelm me. But when ironically, right before my layoff, I had happened to meet a young lady, and we were just networking and talking about government contracts and everything. And a few weeks later, she sent me this email to this big event. And the event was all about government contracting, how to get established and set up in it. And so, and this was like weeks before my layoff. And so I go to the conference, I'm fired up. I feel like I have all the tools I need to learn and to get engaged with it. And I started doing that. Right after Memorial Day, came back to work, got the layoff notice. And I was like, oh, okay, well, hey, I'm still on fire from the conference. So let me go ahead and write these proposals. I'm going to just make sure I use everything that I learned. I went to workshops even after the conference to get prepared. So all that preparation that was there, plus with the desire that I once had, it was just renewed. And when the layoff happened, I just started, I made sure I was registered. I was already in Sam's database since 2013. I just didn't ever do anything. But, I started going after state contracts. I'm located in Virginia. And so I started going after state contracts, and I landed in the first 6 months of my layoff, I had at least 4 or 5 contracts, state contracts, that got me to the 6 figures within the first 6 months. I got laid off in June. By December, that was what I was at.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. The following year, I got the federal contract. And so, and even coming close to the bidding, it's the whole bid process, having to write proposals and put it out there. It's competitive. It's a numbers game. But at the same time, if you hit that sweet spot and you get that contract, that's everything in life. And so, yeah, and I did that. And it was like, yeah, it was a wonderful thing.
Well done. Well done. Well done with that. Well, within your area of expertise and the things that you've done in business and in life, give our listeners and viewers 3 tips on how they can really navigate the tough times, and help them to continue to thrive and think bigger. I mean, yeah, it doesn't get bigger than the government, right? Your next step is the world. You're going to Paris. And so start thinking on this bigger scale and not think so small-minded. And if you do get a setback, like you have to go get a job. And you know what? That's okay. We're not perfect. Things happen. It's okay. But just bounce back. Don't let that be you.
Yeah.
Right? Don't stop. And don't stay stuck and stagnant in that position. That's where people get, and that's where I many times in my life, I've gotten stuck. I had to step back, go get a job, and I'm stuck in that job because I'm putting all my energy and effort into the job. That even though I have a desire to create my own thing, I'm exhausted at the end of the day. And so don't get stuck there, but continue to reach your goals. So Sacha, please let them know what they can do to get out of this, stuck mindset or environment that they're in right now.
Oh, definitely. First, I want to say, be self-aware. Be self-aware. Understand your skill sets. When you are doing anything, make sure your skill sets is wrapped into it, because that will make a big difference on how versatile you are. You be multifaceted, like myself. Number 2, show up. Don't be afraid to show up. I said yes to my other side. This is my other side right here. And when you show up, knowing that you're not just showing up for yourself, you're showing up for all the other ones that are out there who are connected to your life, who's waiting for you to show up, who don't even know that they're waiting for you, but they'll know when you show up. And then number 3, don't shrink back. Don't shrink back. If you know you have the greatness within you, just let it shine. Don't be afraid. Let fear get out the way. Put your foot on procrastination's neck. That's a beast in itself. It's a robber of your destiny and time. Don't let it rob your time. go forth in the things you're supposed to do. Because if you have an idea about something, if you have a desire or passion, it's attached to a purpose. And so
Oh,
just be great and just do it. Just do it.
is attached to a purpose, because that thought and that desire within you that the Holy Spirit's putting inside of you,
Yes.
it's gonna keep
Yes.
talking to you. It's not gonna let
Yeah.
go. So don't
No, no,
ignore
no.
it. All
No.
right.
Well,
Look,
smack you a couple of times too. But hey, I would say this, one of the biggest things I had, and that's where I was at. I was in that moment, and it was just like, Sacha, you have to do this. I
mm,
don't know what all of that has to do with the other side of it. All I know is I didn't want to miss what I had to do. And that's why I'm here today. So I
you
hope
keep
that it helps
thriving.
everyone who's listening.
Yes,
Yes.
you keep thriving, you keep motivating, inspiring other people, and you're well on your way. You're already there, but
Thank
there are
you.
new heights to be gotten, right?
Yes.
So I love it. Sasha, tell our listeners and viewers where they can find you.
Yes, yes, yes. So I'm all over social media. You can find me on Facebook as Sacha Walton, as Sacha Walton. I'm on Instagram and Twitter as that girl Sash. Or you can reach out to me on my website, which is www.swimgtgroup.com. All my socials are connected to it.
And all your socials, yes, I'll link them in the
Yeah.
chat there in the description of the show. And you have a book out. You have a book already and a
Yes.
podcast.
Yes.
Where's your book? Is that online as well?
Yes, it is. It's on Amazon. It's also, you can find it on my website as well. It'll get you to the right place. But it's called Beyond the Music. It's a music artist entrepreneurship guide. I do believe that the foundation of every industry is business. So if you're creative, a music artist, product, service, whatever, you're an entrepreneur. So that book is good. It's more niche to music artists.
Mhm.
And then, but you can find it on the website, as well as my podcast, According to Sacha, is on all the streaming platforms. We're on YouTube as well. And yeah, you can find all that. It's connected to the website. Everything is right there. One stop shop
Right
right
on
on
the
the
website.
website.
Okay. Sasha with the C's.
Yes.
Sacha.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. Well, Sasha, thank you so much for being on the show. I truly
Thank you.
enjoyed you. It was an honor just learning more
Thank
about you and how you can help the viewers and the listeners on the show as well.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Christy.